Hey everybody, welcome to today's webinar focused on eco-labels and finding the best one for your brand or business. I'm Molly Hughes. So today we are featuring certified gluten-free with the Gluten Intolerance Group. We know businesses are trying to strengthen their connection to their consumers. And when it comes to gluten, it provides a lot of peace of mind to know that a product is certified by a third-party source and actually free of gluten. We hear it over and over again that shoppers are skeptical of non-verified sustainability claims, which is one of the many reasons why an eco-label such as certified gluten-free is so very important. These certifications build trust. Furthermore, there are certain eco-labels that qualify you for programs such as government grants, as well as for retail sustainability programs like Amazon's Climate Pledge Friendly, there's Wayfair Shop Sustainably, and also to be in Whole Foods. So we stay on top of all these things. So keep following Softly to stay up to date on these opportunities. For this webinar series, we have a great list of certifying organizations that we're going to be speaking to over the coming weeks, including Ocean Positive Certification. That one is coming up on Thursday, May 11th. We will have the chief of the EPA Safer Choice label with us on May 18th. We have Fair for Life on May 25th and Certified Compostable on June 8th. So you are in the right place if you're a business considering certification, or if you just want to learn more about the process. All right. So at this time, I'd like to bring on today's guest. We are super excited to learn about the gluten-free certification. With us today is Jeanne Reid. Jeanne is the marketing manager with the Gluten Intolerance Group of North America. Welcome, Jeanne.
Thank you so much, Molly. Great to be here.
Yeah. So I'd like to start learning a little bit about you, Jeanne. How did you get involved with this nonprofit?
Well, I'll tell you, 12 years ago, my child, who was only about a year and a half at the time, became really sick very quickly. Doctors didn't recognize the cause of his illness. And it was actually social media that pointed me in the direction of celiac disease. And that eventually led to his diagnosis. And, as you can imagine, as a mother, it was like a life-changing time. And I became really passionate about spreading awareness to others who were suffering with with celiac disease and not knowing it. Turned out my entire family had either celiac disease or non-celiac gluten sensitivity, including myself. And we just didn't know it. And I really wanted to kind of get involved and be a change maker. And I found myself at the nonprofit Tolerance Group. And we're GIG.
How long have you been around? For a long time, right?
Yes. GIG was established in 1974 as a consumer support organization. And, they're on a mission to make life easier for everyone living gluten-free. So definitely found my home at this wonderful organization.
Yeah. So, and it's May right now, and it is actually Celiac Awareness Month. So I think our timing to talk to you is just perfect.
It sure is. May is Celiac Awareness Month. This is the time to spread awareness about celiac disease and other gluten-related disorders too. 1 in 100 people in the United States has celiac disease, but 80% don't know it. So like my own family, their journey hasn't begun. They're not well and they don't know why. So it is important to spread awareness about celiac disease this month.
Yeah. So tell me, let's go back. Let's kind of talk about your son. What kind of symptoms were you seeing, and how did you kind of figure out that it was gluten or celiac?
Sure. So in my child's case, he was a year and a half, happy, robust little boy who suddenly became very sick and started throwing up all the time, having, very severe reactions every time he ate. And he actually lost 10 pounds in 6 weeks, not 6 months, 6 weeks time, and went from being healthy to failure to thrive. And in and out of the doctors, in and out of the hospital, and no known cause. They thought it was a virus. So it really was social media that led me to a diagnosis for him. Clued me in. Doctors confirmed it. And, unfortunately, I've shared my child's story so many times and heard of other parents who went through the same thing. So
Hmm.
in his case, it isn't all that rare to just have a misdiagnosis.
Yeah. Is it something you are born with, or is it something that a year and a half into his life that somebody can acquire?
Yes, it is something that people can inherit the genes for celiac disease. About 25 to 30% of the population has the genetic predisposition for celiac disease, but something in your life has to trigger it.
Mm,
It's usually a life triggering event. It could be a trauma, a surgery, a virus that causes the triggering of the genes. So it can happen. It can develop in at any time in your life.
okay. So let's go to the basics. What is gluten?
Sure. Gluten is a protein, or it's actually two proteins, but it's the general protein that is found in wheat, barley, and rye, and derivatives of those grains. Gluten gives the elasticity to glue. Gluten is a glue is like a glue. It gives the
Okay.
elasticity to breads. It adds to the texture and to kind of makes things chewy when
Hmm.
you're eating them in products. It's a binder that's often used in commercial production.
Okay.
Now, gluten is a protein that really is not digestible by anyone. However, most people don't have a problem with it.
Got
But
it.
for a segment of the population, many people, um, when they eat gluten, it causes a reaction. With celiac
Mhm.
disease, it's an autoimmune reaction. It can be another reaction, an inflammatory response in the body for others who have gluten related disorders.
Hmm. Okay. So it seems like we have been hearing so much more about gluten free over, more recent years, and some of it's awareness. But why is it that these numbers are going up so much? Do you think?
Well, gluten free in general. So the awareness about it. Well, I'll go back in time when our organization started. They thought that about 1 in 1,000 people had celiac disease.
Okay.
Since that time, about 20 years ago, they realized it was much, much more common. And it's about 1 in 100 people. And diagnosis rates for celiac disease are going up. You
Okay.
know, additionally, non-celiac gluten sensitivity was recognized as a medical condition by the medical community. Up to 13% of the population has non-celiac gluten sensitivity. There are also finding that there are other illnesses where a gluten-free diet seems to make a true difference, such as autism.
Mhm.
And other people are finding it on their own through a health empowerment journey that they're trying a gluten-free diet to improve their performance, their wellness, and they're finding it works. Right now, our research shows that 23% of US shoppers are choosing gluten free, and
Wow.
7% rigidly restrict gluten in their home. So the numbers are increasing, whether it is for a medical requirement or a choice, but a choice that's also rooted in sustaining their health.
Yeah. So as a result, you have more and more businesses and manufacturers and organizations getting your certification, right?
Absolutely. So, as a nonprofit organization, we started out as social support. We were trying to help people who needed to eat gluten free.
Mhm.
And then we started working with food manufacturers back in 2005. We started the GFCO program, which certifies products to be gluten free. Now, in this chart, you can see so much has changed over the years. Back in 2010, um, there was the emergence of gluten free products, and GFCO was young in that time. And we were really helping food manufacturers to make safe gluten free food.
Mhm.
So much has changed. The gluten-free market is just growing and growing and growing. And people, so many diets have risen and fallen out of rotation, but gluten-free has just been steadfast in its growth, and projections are it's going to keep increasing. So you'll see the market has doubled, more than doubled in the past 10 years, and the projections are it's going to double again in the next 10 years. So
Yeah.
demand for
Yeah.
gluten-free
When you
will be.
go to the grocery store and, you're always it's not now. It used to be there was a gluten-free aisle, right? where you had to go to a certain section or a certain store to find gluten-free products. Now they're interdispersed, everywhere within a store.
Absolutely. I can tell you 10 years ago, I probably had to hit 5 stores to find all the different products that I needed every week. And now you could pretty much go into almost any grocery store, mass merchandiser, or even your convenience stores and find a wide array of gluten free products throughout the store.
Mhm.
There are still some dedicated gluten free aisles or, maybe a health and wellness section of a store, but you can find specialty products, mainstream products, all labeled gluten free, and so many certified gluten free.
Yeah. Even restaurants, you're seeing on the menu more often gluten-free options. Um, I know you guys have kind of recommendations out there for restaurants and for, organizations that serve food. Is there kind of a rule of thumb as to like what percentage of their menu should be gluten-free, or do you have suggestions on that?
Absolutely. Well, there is a recommendation that at least 10% of your menu have gluten free, have something gluten free for your audience. We
Okay.
have the same people who are shopping gluten free are eating gluten free, dining out. And I'll tell you, our research shows that most gluten free consumers, I think it's 87% of gluten free consumers fear dining out because
Mhm.
the experience at whether it's a restaurant or a hospital, sadly, any food service establishment struggles a bit with gluten-free food. And that is part of what we're emphasizing for Celiac Awareness Month is, talking to your um, restaurants and letting them know how they're doing with gluten-free, because it does matter. Our organization does provide a lot of resources and information for restaurants and other food service establishments who are looking to serve a safe plate of food. And we also have basically it's a certification program for those. It's our GFFS validation. So that is it's slightly different than our CPG food manufacturing certification, but it really does help set policies and procedures in place for food services.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, that's great. So take off your work hat for a minute, and as a mom, what does it mean to you to be able to find products that are certified to be gluten free? Because I know that there's some out there that might say that they aren't, or that they are gluten free, yet they're not necessarily independently verified and third party certified to be so.
Mhm.
So, what kind of a peace of mind does that give you?
Oh my goodness. Certification gives me such peace of mind just as a mom, as a shopper who is looking for safe gluten free products. I'm
Hmm.
looking for products that are certified. The FDA does have a requirement for gluten free. However, there is no requirement for true testing when it comes to what the FDA ruling is. So the manufacturer is supposed to meet a threshold of 20 parts per million. Um, but there's no requirement for how often they test or how they can prove that.
Okay.
So certification plays a really important role when it comes to gluten free. At GFCO, our certification requirement is 10 parts per million or less. So that's half of what the FDA requires. And it comes with a lot of strict rules for ensuring, not only frequent testing of incoming ingredients and outgoing final product.
Hmm.
But there's other steps in the process that help to ensure that the food is safe. And as a mom, I know that I can trust a product that is certified to give to my child.
You're talking about parts per million, which doesn't necessarily mean a lot to me. But what I do know is I've had friends that are gluten free, and they say just even a minuscule amount, just a teeny bit, maybe in a supplement or a pill or a little crumb of something can really cause problems. So I'm always, a little bit, try to be aware of things like that. So I want to tell everybody that's listening right now that we are taking questions from the audience. So if you do have a question, we're going to get to them in a little bit, but make sure you put it in the chat, and we will certainly get to those. So kind of talking on that note, Jeannie, what kind of products are best for be certified? We know food products, obviously.
Absolutely. So food, beverages, nutritionals, supplements, personal care products, whether it's cosmetics, lotions. Um, we certify consumer packaged good products in all different areas. In fact, we even certify some pet food. So anything that can be ingested or used on your body or your skin can be certified by GFCO.
Okay. 60,000 products you have certified right now, right?
We do. We certify over 60,000 products, and that is across the globe. We work with brands and manufacturers um, in all corners of the world. And, it's really exciting to see our certification, really reaching in not just the United States, but beyond. It's also really helpful when you're dealing with manufacturers from outside the United States, or may have production facilities outside the United States. So if they're living to our standard and we perform regular audits, even imported products, we know that those meet our needs.
Yeah. So let's talk about the process to get certified. I'm a business. I'm thinking, okay, I have a gluten-free product. I'm pretty sure it's gluten-free based on, the information that I have. What's the process? And
Well,
actually, we see here, right?
we do our best to make it easy. The
Okay.
first thing that should happen is that you should just take a look at our certification manual. That is available on our website, gfco.org. It is a very comprehensive manual that explains to you all the things that you need to know and understand before you start the process so that you can feel confident that you're ready. Then reach out to us. We're happy to send an application packet to you, and that's where we'll ask for lists of things like your ingredients, what products you're looking to get certified. Um, it's also a chance to register your production plans so that we can kind of get a full scope of exactly what you're manufacturing, what the ingredients are like. And that way we can give you an accurate quote for certification.
Mhm.
Um, we turn that around pretty quickly. There's a lot of some details that need to be provided to us, but once we have the details, we turn things around very quickly, probably about 3 days. And if you agree to the quote, we move on to an audit at your facility. So we would audit your plant or wherever you're manufacturing your products. That usually happens pretty quickly. And certification can happen, basically in 3 months.
You do your own auditing, or do you have an outside organization that does that?
We do our own auditing and have external auditors as well.
Got it. Got it. So, so they're auditing the facilities, the manufacturing facilities. What about like your sources of materials? And then also, is there a test that's actually done on the product itself? Some sort of a test that tests afterwards for gluten?
Yes. So we internally we spend a lot of time looking at the ingredients, your sources of ingredients, your testing on ingredients. So testing is required on all incoming ingredients for medium or high risk products. Depending on each ingredient that is provided to us will be risked at a certain level, and the frequency of testing required will be provided as part of the process. So testing is required and it needs to be submitted to us on a regular basis. It's usually a quarterly schedule for both incoming and outgoing products. But then also when we're at the facility, our auditors will also do sample testing throughout the lines, product lines,
Mhm.
like that. And if there is shared production lines, there'll be a whole different testing recommendation or requirement, really, for ensuring that there's no cross contact that's happening in the production process.
Yeah. So, so and that's the reason why you have to give a quote on the certification. I'm assuming because there's many layers involved in it. But do you have a guide, a basic guideline of what a typical food product typically is for cost?
Sure. So we actually do not certify based on number of products.
Okay.
The considerations that go into a quote are things like number of production facilities you have and the risk level of the ingredients that you're using. But if you are a small to mid-sized company, that manufactures in one location um, with medium risk ingredients, you're
Mhm.
probably talking about $2,000 to $4,000 for certification.
Okay. Okay. So this was actually one of the audience questions was, asking about do you certify a single product or do you certify a whole product line? So I think you just answered that as you're kind of certifying the facility and then what comes out of it and the ingredient, making sure that those products that
Actually,
come out of it have been certified or no?
Actually, we are a product certification. So we
Okay.
certify the
Product level.
individual product. Um, that is, we do not charge by product.
Charge by product. Okay.
So if you're a manufacturer with 10 products, we are not charging for each individual product. We are evaluating each individual product, and each individual product will earn its own certification based on the information that's provided and our evaluation.
Got it. Okay. So I have a question about sourcing. And is it difficult for companies to source gluten-free oats? Are they?
Oh, great question. So, oats are an interesting one. Oats are an inherently gluten free grain. However, due to agricultural commingling, most oats are not gluten free.
Okay.
Whether it is because of what happens at the farm, wind, birds, whatever, it's wheat grains often get into oat crops, or if it's through storage or transport. There
Hmm.
just happens to be a lot of, agriculture, a mix of grains through the agricultural process. So gluten free grains are needed for gluten free products.
Right.
Um, Currently, it's not hard to source gluten free oats. I'll tell you, last year was a tough year. Last year was a challenge. There were some environmental factors that played a role, like droughts and cricket infestations, which just led to a shortage of gluten free oats.
Okay.
We need top
So they
quality
don't
oats.
have to be, based on what you're saying, they don't have to be grown indoors necessarily.
No.
It just has to be tested afterwards to see what kind of cross contamination came through bees or pollination or whatever it could maybe.
Yes, there are two processes to make a gluten free oat. One is, and sometimes a mixture of the two. One is purity protocol oats, which is basically a farm that's dedicated to producing only oats, and
Okay.
storage, transport, all of that is
Right.
dedicated to just oats. Then there's a visual inspection component to make sure that, a wheat grain didn't get somehow mixed in. And then there is mechanically sorting of oats, and there's some advanced technology that can truly clean the oat to ensure that any oat, is safely clear of any debris that may come from a wheat. It's usually wheat or maybe barley that can get into
Mhm.
the crops. Often there's a combination of both processes to make a gluten-free oat, but it does take a quality oat to make. It's a premium product, but there is an ample supply of gluten-free oats, and in fact, certified gluten-free oats available today.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I've learned a lot just even about the sourcing. Do you guys have one question from the audience based on that just came in is, do you have a list of like suppliers for ingredients if need be, if somebody's looking to, make sure that they're using suppliers that are going to actually pass your testing?
Yes, on our website GFCO, there is a product finder that you can look, search by keyword terms, or you
Okay.
can always contact us directly,
Okay.
and we'd be happy to help set you up.
Product finder. And is there also a supplier finder also, or just more find the product, once it's been certified?
It actually is both. It
Oh, got
it
it.
could give you both, supplier and consumer products.
Mhm. So, we've talked a lot about the process, and why to do it from a personal level, but for a business, what do you think the value of your certification is?
That the value is earning that consumer support and trust.
Mhm.
Gluten-free consumers really care. They are looking for certification. Um, we found that 2 out of 3 gluten-free consumers look for a gluten GFCO mark looking for anything else. They're not reading the ingredient label. They're choosing certified products first. And if the GFCO mark is on the label, you will earn the loyalty of that gluten-free consumer.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, gluten-free consumers love to talk to each other. I'm sure
Sure,
if you're a
there's a lot of chat
manufacturer,
groups out there on social media, like
oh
the
my
one you
goodness,
used, and
social media, it spreads like wild.
it does.
Any good word spreads wildly about products. So if you want to earn that trust of the gluten-free consumer and earn their business,
There you go.
certification really does matter.
There you go. And now you know how to get the certification. Is there anything else that you'd like to add
Oh,
before
well, I
we?
really appreciate being here today. You know, I just thought I would mention, the gluten intolerance group is here to help, whether you're an individual living with a gluten related disorder or anyone in the food industry. We're here to help and support. We've got information, education, and anything we can do, because we are really on a mission to make life easier for everyone living gluten free, and everyone here is involved in that too.
Yeah. And with, like you said earlier, 23% of shoppers looking for gluten free. This is certainly a certification they're going to be looking for. So thank you. Thank you, Jeannie. Thanks so much for being with us today. You shared so much great information. Research shows that just as convenience became a basic consumer expectation, the demand for transparency is quickly becoming the baseline for consumers. And today we learned how the certification increases transparency and will really earn customer trust. And our goal at Softly is to help you with this process. You can see on the screen right now, we have a platform that's going to take your message directly to consumers. It's our personal sustainable shopping assistant. You can see it on the right-hand side of the screen. This is a free download. You can get it on the Chrome Web Store or at getsoftly.com. And what we do is we elevate and we suggest sustainable products that are certified to be what they say they are to shoppers. And then also, you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, we also can help you find the best certification for your business. There is just a lot to consider when it comes to certification, with around 500 certifications out there. So we know it can be just overwhelming. But we'll look at your sustainable initiatives and we will help you find the one that gives the best return on your investment. So please reach out if you would like our assistance. And then here's information on the label we featured today, the certified gluten-free label. You can see the website and also Jeannie's direct email here. Just know that this is a live webinar, but it is recorded. So this recording will be available later on our website as well. And then here's information on how to get a hold of us at Softly. We are excited to announce that we are accepting a limited number of businesses for our expanded offering for eco-label consultation. So please reach out to us to learn more about that. Thank you so much for being with us today. Please join us again. Here's our upcoming schedule. Have a great day and tread softly on our world.